DoorDash, Uber Eats. So the restaurateurs are getting to create the food that they always wanted to create and not worrying as much about the building itself, the restaurant itself. They're getting to focus on the food because most of their customers never see the restaurant. So it's very interesting, how you can pick something to be true to. And now, technology lets you deal with the rest of it so that you can really focus on what your authentic interest is, on what your authentic skill is, and not have to deal with a lot of things that are just in the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, convenience means a whole lot, even more and more to them, and that's what they've been brought up with, is finding easier ways to do things. And so, I mean, you and me, I'd rather go hang out in a restaurant myself, but taking a look at things online, and if I could make it pop out of my computer, that might help me get more curious on that. But I can understand what they're doing, especially when all their lives are helter skelter and multitasking and this and that and whatever. However, they can save a little bit of time and convenience. That's what they're going for.
Exactly. Now, another example of inauthentic promotion. I've seen this, and I happen to know this is not being driven by the company. This is one particular representative of a company. So I won't mention the company because I don't want to unfairly paint them with the brush of this one person. It's a network marketing company, and this one representative is talking about how she sold $4 million in merchandise. And of course, if you look into it, well, she didn't sell it. Her line sold it. And she doesn't give a time period over how long it took them to sell it. And of course, if you look deeper, it's $4 million in list price. That's not, she's talking about how successful she is, but that's not actually what she made. It's not what she sold. And when this person goes to events, they're very hush-hush about what they're selling. And in fact, I've actually heard her talk about the fact that she's a coach because she teaches people. Well, she doesn't really teach people. She's a salesperson. And a lot of salespeople are now trying to pass themselves off as coaches or consultants, either because they're not comfortable being a salesperson, they're embarrassed. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a salesperson. Every business on the planet needs salespeople. But if you're a salesperson, say you're a salesperson. Be proud that this is what I'm selling. This is what it's going to do for you. The hemming and hawing about, well, what she really does and the title, it just makes you not trust her.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like the word shares person instead of salesperson, and most people do too, because the bottom line is if you really want to develop relationships with people, you have to share solutions, comfort, and those type of things, not commodities. And when we talk about networking and teaching people that, we talking about your value added and your benefits rather than what you're trying to sell today, because people really aren't looking for that. They're looking for the whole package, and it really starts with the person. So obviously, especially in network marketing, that's got to raise some eyebrows for sure, because they're not taught to do it that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. There are a lot of people, especially for network marketing. There's a lot of people that get into these companies and don't either go to the training or pay attention to the training. And you see a lot of it on LinkedIn when the profile posted says consultant at self-employed. Well, if you're a real consultant, even if you own the company, you've named the company. So you should be consultant at whatever the name of the company is. When you see consultant at self-employed, you know they're not really a consultant. They're most likely a network marketer, and they're trying to get people into their line. But again, if you're not being authentic about it, why would somebody trust you enough to join your line? That
Yeah.
authentic piece is so important, because you don't want to partner with someone you don't trust. You don't want to buy from someone you don't trust. Most of the time, you don't even want to be around somebody you don't trust.
Right. And the successful, the real good network marketing companies out there, they teach you to talk consistently about what your brand is and what your value add is and so on and so forth. And you got to be proud to do that. And if you're going to beat around the bush, there eventually that's going to catch up with you there too, because they have their own codes of ethics. And if you're not doing things in the proper way, eventually you're going to get in trouble for doing that in the direct marketing market too. So
Exactly. I mean, there are consequences, in some cases through the company you're with, in some cases legal consequences, but the biggest is just going to be in your relationships with coworkers, clients, suppliers. If they can't trust you because they don't feel you're being authentic, or if you're deliberately misleading people and you're definitively not being authentic, then that is going to cut down your success tremendously. Because the fact of the matter is, no matter how good you are at being inauthentic, somebody will discover it. And in all reality, they will tell people, oh, this person lied to me. The fact of the matter is, and this has been a statistic for decades. If someone's happy with what you did for them, they'll tell one person. If they're unhappy with what you did, they'll tell 7.
yep, I mean that's that's just the way people are. So again, it's really really important. Emphasizing again the importance of developing relationships with your clients rather as individuals rather than as just customers and consumers. And so you really have to get the reputation to do that. And it talks about millennials, getting back to that again, a few things that they really care a lot about that people might not think that they do. Number one is family. That generation deeply cares about becoming good parents when they start having children, because a lot of them are waiting a little bit later to do that kind of thing. And that's very, very important. They also care a whole lot about philanthropy. And it's really cool being involved with these chambers of commerce youth organizations and seeing the different things that they do out there, volunteering for different people and doing a whole lot of different things. But it says around 75% of millennials donated to a nonprofit. And this was back a few years ago, and 57% of them spent time volunteering. So even though they may not be making a whole lot, they really have big hearts, and it's really, really important to them. And talking about society, they appreciate it when the brands that they're buying from, that the brands that they're dealing with, have established programs to give back to society in some way, shape, or form. And the bottom line is the millennials can teach all of us something as far as these qualities go, because really deep down, I think most people do care about those things.
When you share those qualities and you build real relationships with your customers, it works to your advantage, not just in that they will come back and they will refer you and they will buy more, but when things go wrong, if they have a relationship with you, if they feel a trust towards you, they are more likely to cut you some slack when things go wrong. Apple has always been very good at creating relationships with their customers. So when there's a technical problem with an iPhone, their customers don't abandon them. They stick it out. They work with their customers. And iPhone has one of the highest retention rates in the industry. By the same token, Google has virtually no relationship with their customers. You can't call them. It's difficult to get a hold of any help over there. So when they released their original Google phone, which was an abject disaster, people abandoned them in droves because they didn't have that connection to them. So it's important for you to build those relationships. And the only way to do that is to base it on your authentic self. It's about being true to who you are true to your values, and true to your customers.
Yeah, and if you diversify too much away from what your authentic brand is, as you mentioned with the Google, it's just going to confuse people, and it's not only going to hurt you as far as your new venture goes, but it's going to make people wonder, are you really, really as authentic with what you're really good at doing or have been until now? And are you going to stay that way? Or are you going to continue to go all over the place? So it's really, really important to be very, very consistent. And what is it that Andre Agassi, I forget what he was marketing, but image is everything. And if you change that image to confuse people, it's going to hurt you rather than help you.
Exactly. So we're heading up against the end of our time. So Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for this week?
Even though there's so many different ways to hit people with your brands, it really goes back to the old basics that have been what people care about forever. And this is honesty, integrity, expertise, that kind of thing. You have to develop the relationships with your potential clients out there to keep them on board.
Absolutely. I think for me, the big takeaway is that it is worth focusing on your values and being honest about them, because the benefits you get, everything you give out comes back tenfold. So you really want to be your authentic self and be honest with people, because not being honest is going to push them away. And again, no matter how good a liar you are, it's going to be found out. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also catch us at the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, Spotify, iHeartRadio app, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. See you then.